Hello and welcome. This is Reverse Engineering Happiness. I'm Amanda Maxham and I'm here with Happiest Man Alive. That's Tsfany. So I was going to exchange some pleasantries with you, but I think we should get right to the point because I have some really important questions to ask you.
Dive right in.
All right. So I was wondering, so you still consider yourself the happiest man alive, right?
That's a great question. I'm meeting a lot of happy people, and they're good competition. I was just in a wonderful weekend with a lot of great people. So there's great competition. But again, going back to the definition of how happy I can be, I'm very high on that list. Sorry, very high on that ranking of how happy I can make myself be in this world.
So I was wondering if the happiest men alive ever, do you ever feel bad or do you ever cry? Is that not part of it?
Oh, it's a big part of being happy. How
Really?
would you have, yeah, how would you have a hero's journey without the lows and getting stuck and being frustrated and not knowing what to do next? It's the contrast that really makes the best the best and the lows the lows. We're living a story, we each need to live a meaningful story. And if the story doesn't have obstacles and challenges and monsters and dragons, how would you call your story heroic, right? So yes, I feel down, I feel frustrated, I feel angry, I cry, and I feel a lot, and it's what makes everything worthwhile, I think. And I have a hypothesis about the role of negative emotions, as we call them, like all those bad things.
Well,
so-called. Yeah.
What are what would people call negative emotions? Like sadness, anger, what else?
All the things you don't want to feel, right? Yeah. Frustration.
Deflated.
Yeah. Depressed, whatever that is, it's all negative emotions. But the way I think about negative emotions, they're friends of mine. I mean, I think of them as my protectors. So I call them protective emotions, because think about what an emotion is. It's a signal that something's not going well, or that you're risking a value, right? So if you got green flags of happiness and joy and exhilaration and do more of this, we like it, right? They're red flags, and the red flags are saying, wait, there's something at risk, or we're not clear on what's going on, right? Why are you doing this?
So can you either give me an example or tell me, remind me again. So how does it work? Like, what is an emotion? You said that it's a red flag, but like a red flag for what?
So emotions are information coming from your subconscious about what are you doing with your values. Are you serving a value? Are you on your way to achieving a rational value? Or are you threatening something? You're losing something. You're frustrated or anxious because you don't know what's going to happen next. So there's a deep lack of clarity. So I see them, emotions are just signals transmitting some kind of an information. Now, what's behind the information is the hard question. Where is it coming from? That's what you have to
figure out.
Yes, that's the value judgment behind the emotion is what I'm interested in, right?
Okay.
So this is why I receive every emotion with love. It's like it's there. I don't repress it. I don't ignore it. I contemplate it. I ask it. Oh, I just got a signal of sadness. I'm moving to a new house and it's beautiful and it's well designed, but I'm sad. Why am I sad? So you catch it. You don't like, oh, I don't want to feel sad. It makes some sense to feel sad. Like, I got a beautiful new house. Everything's good. Why am I feeling sad? That's stupid. Don't feel sad. So,
I mean, that's the kind of thing that you tell, like, I can see myself saying to myself, I'm feeling bad. I'm like, why are you feeling so bad? Like, things are pretty good, or like, you shouldn't feel that way. That's like, I will often catch myself saying that, like, you shouldn't feel like that. And that's often what other people tell you too, right? If you say, yeah, I'm not feeling that happy or something. And then they'll be like, yeah, but look at all the, I don't know, other people have it worse. And they're essentially tell you it's not an okay emotion to have, or you shouldn't feel that way. And you're saying it's the opposite. It's like, bring on the message.
It's like taking a gun and killing the messenger. I don't want to hear that. I don't care who sent you. I'm shooting you in the head.
Yeah.
I think that's an awful mistake, because you lose in so many different ways. One, you killed the messenger. He had nothing to do with it. That poor guy is dead now. So I don't know that the next messenger will come. They'll be afraid to confront you. And then you'll never know what they had in their pocket. What is that message that they were trying to convey to you, right? So you're losing so much. I think that the right thing is to welcome them, to say, come on in, sit down on the couch for a minute, tell me what it is that we're feeling. And sometimes like, well, I thought I was sadness, but it's really not sadness. It's just a feeling of a loss. So even verbalizing what it is that I'm feeling is the first step of like, what is it that you're trying to convey? So is it sadness, or is it a feeling of a loss, or is it anxiety of something unclear? Maybe it's not knowing what's going to come next that is really triggering this. So first you examine and you investigate the feeling, right? You welcome the messenger in. You're having a long conversation with him about what's in your pocket, and then they tell you that's what's in my pocket. Now you take that note, and now it starts the detective work. It's like, who sent that messenger? What were they trying to tell?
You're saying the first thing is to like decode the message, figure out what is it exactly that I'm feeling. And then the next step is to figure out why did that emotion come up?
Think about it as a detective work, right? If you don't know what the message is, how would you know who sent it? Because the first clue to who sent the message is like, what is the message saying? Who would send me a message like that? Is it my thought that I'm not worthy? Is it the thought from when I was a kid that I'm not smart enough? Is it the memory that I know that I changed jobs and failed and wished I didn't, that is resisting the change I'm going through? Who sent me that message? What thought is behind that message? So for me, verbalizing the message is like, oh, I got the suspect. I know who sent. Is that thought, or that thought I know about myself? And it's all mixed together with like broad evaluations of myself that I know exist, right? And another thing, which is a third, after I identify the person who sent the messenger, and I identify the message, I contemplate again about the nature of the thought that sent that message. Is it true? Is it true still? What am I thinking, and how should I deal with that message? Because in the end of the day, if I'm really unclear about what's going to happen in my future, and I have a sense of anxiety, I would say, yeah, it's completely fair that thought sent that message, because I'm really unclear. I don't have a plan. I should get on my, get off my butt and start planning what's going to happen next, right? Or it should be like you're going to fail. And so I'm looking at that value judgments like, you're going to fail. And I was like, why? Why are you saying that? This is so untrue. I haven't failed for so many years, and everything I'm doing is actually working well. And I know why I'm doing this. I'm not going to fail. So I push back. So I reject not the messenger, but the person who sent that message. You're wrong. You can continue to send me messages. I'm not going to ignore them, but I'm going to tell you you're wrong till you change your nature of the value judgment, because it's giving me no input, no real inputs on how to make my life better.
So why do you think you tell yourself those types of negative things? Like if I'm telling myself you're a failure, you're going to fail at this, don't try, or what else? Like you're not worthy, you're not good enough. All those negative things that come up. Why would you tell yourself that? Like,
you're protecting something.
Like what?
You tell me. Let's take something you're thinking.
Yeah.
And
it's probably like, okay, let's use the one, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough.
Okay. So let's go with I'm not good enough for a second. Mm-hmm. Okay. Why do you think that you're sending yourself a message saying you're not good enough at something?
Yeah, it's probably because I'm probably feeling afraid that I might try something and it really won't be good enough, and
then what will happen? Let's think about what will actually happen in the world. Give me a scenario where you fail and you're experiencing, like in real world, you're experiencing the failure. Is somebody talking to you and saying you're a failure? Yeah. You're not good enough in doing it, forget it. Give me a scenario the way you see it.
Sure, I can tell you, like, I have these feelings about the podcasts a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's the scenario that plays out in my head is that I think I made the most wonderful piece of audio. I did it to the best of my ability and I put it out there, and then it's completely obvious to everybody else how horrible and childish and immature it is.
So
and I imagine them sitting in their rooms listening, thinking like, what is total hack? She thought she could do that. It's horrible. It doesn't sound good at all. What was she thinking? That's what I see.
So how would that information get to you? Like, give me a scenario where you're experiencing that lack of competence.
Oh,
somebody tells you something, somebody calls you and says,
yeah, so like someone tweets at me or something that was bad.
And what would the tweet say?
I don't know, like, you I can't believe you put out such a horrible piece of audio. Are you polluting the world with your like half-baked thoughts?
Okay, so then what would you feel? You would be devastated, right?
Yeah, I would feel bad, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I put out half-baked, horrible, not helpful content into the world. It's bad.
How would that make you feel?
How would that make me feel? I would feel deflated. I know what I would do. I would go sit underneath my desk, which is what I do when I feel really bad. I would sit under the desk. I'd feel sadness. I probably would feel disappointed in myself. Yeah.
So see how much that feeling is trying to protect. It's trying to not have you experience all of that. Mm-hmm. So the self-talk that says you're not good enough, don't try, please don't try, is the voice that says we don't want you to experience all of that. It's going to be hell, right? It's not just sitting below your desk. It's, I don't want to do this anymore. What is life about? If I can do podcasts, what will I do? You'll feel lost. You'll feel just having no direction, because that's what I love doing. And now people telling me I'm not good at it. That's such a deep sense of incompetence and loss, right? So I would say that is, see that as a friend, like somebody's telling you, look, I just want to make sure you understand the risks here. If you're going to put out a podcast and it's going to be bad, you're going to have to deal with all that. Are you sure you want to do it? So in a way, you see the positive aspect of some thought telling you you're not good enough. It's not for this. There's something behind it. It's trying to protect you for something. So even that has some kind of a positive information in it.
Yeah. So I know one of the things you try to get me to do is to see the world in terms of values. And so the value there, or the positive thing that I really, that's really important to me, then is competence, right? And um, yeah, competence, maybe creativity. Uh, so, I mean, my self-esteem seems like it's on the line.
Everything's on the line, right? So you're applying yourself, you're trying something you said you want to do, and now it's out in the open. Oh my God, this is so risky, right? I'm going to show off my podcast and people will hate it. So, but again, observe the mechanism, right? The mechanism is I'm trying to do something, and my subconscious, like a good animal, is trying to protect itself, right, from harm. And so it's conveying to you both the go for it, do it, this is so great, I'm so proud, I just finished it, but also in sense of anxiety of like, you're not good enough. And is it all this information is valuable. It's the way, it's your inner working. It's the way you think. Now, I'm not saying don't try and change the way you think. Some, like a thought that keeps coming at you, you're not good enough, is not good. You should slowly talk to that thought and say, you're wrong. Don't be so. Now, I want you to, from time to time, to warn me on things that I'm taking, risks that I'm taking. But don't stop saying you're not good enough. Maybe you should start talking to me like, look, Amanda, we know we hate failing this way. And we are getting into like a full depression when somebody says that to you. So remember that and stay away from that by thinking more about how you're going to do that. But stop saying you're not good enough, because that's not good. Say, be careful of those specific, risks, and turn that thought, negative thought, into something more effective, more objective. So I would say a lot of the self work I did with in my psychology is to turn a lot of negative thought into warning thoughts that are very specific and accurate in the way I tend to take on risks and move too fast and not take into consideration a lot of things that I pay a price. And those red flags are great, but they're good red flags, not, I would say, not black flags, like this is all bullshit, forget it, don't do it. All of those thoughts, I change over time. I don't fight with it. I change because I want to turn my psychology to be more positive and more objective and truthful, right?
So you're talking about you're taking a risk, and usually, I don't know, when people think about risk, you might think about it as like money or a bet, right? So it's, the risk is I'm going to invest in this house and then maybe the housing market collapses. And that was, I knew about that risk and I could either, capitalize on it or lose. But it seems like you're talking more about emotional risks, where it's, I'm going to feel emotional pain if this doesn't go well. And I'm really interested in that. I interviewed someone a while ago. He almost made it to the Olympics 3 times. He was so close. He was like the world's almost the 25th fastest man in the United States, and he was so close 3 times. And after the 3rd time, when he just didn't quite make it to the Olympics, he was like, he describes it as, imagine if you had like a 8-year-old child, because that's how long he was working towards it, and suddenly somebody took them from your bed and you would never see them again. I mean, he just talked about it as this devastating thing that happened to him, and he ended up trying to commit suicide as a result. And I'm wondering what you think about, like, how do you weigh emotional risks? Yeah.
When I talk to people about planning their pursuits, part of the planning process is, what are the obstacles going to be? And every time people make those plans, it's like, oh, I'm not going to have enough money to invest, and then I don't know enough marketing, so I don't know how I'm going to get the customers. And then I ask them, but what about your emotional obstacles? Because you know what's going to happen, right? You know yourself. You're going to get stuck and then you go feel deflated and unmotivated. What are you going to do then? How are you going to overcome that obstacle? Because those are the serious obstacles, right? Every, problem out there, there's a solution for it. Not enough money, not enough customers, product, whatever you want to do, changing a job. What about the emotional world? And, it brings me back to Rand's point about if we were 5% as good as in introspection as we are in extrospection, we would be a species of giants. And it's true. I mean, we don't take the time to think about what's going to happen in the inside. If you're taking on a serious pursuit, prepare yourself emotionally. Well, what's going to happen if we fall on our faces? Can we pick ourselves back up? If not, what do I need to do in order to develop that fortitude and resilience in me to be able to say, I'm going to fail, and then I'm going to get myself up? I know that in my journey, the best way to prepare for those things is to think about it. I don't know how that works, but I can tell you that every time I said, okay, the money's going to run out, we're going to close the company, I'm going to say bye to all of my dearest employees, and we're going to say, look, it was a great try, right? We had fun while it lasted. And I would run this scenario in my head, and then the anxiety would calm down, because it's like, okay, it's not that bad. Even if we fall on our faces, nobody would invest in the company. It'll be still okay. Nobody died. So that is my way of preparing for a journey emotionally. Now, I can't talk to your friend because it sounds like a devastating blow of being taken away, kind of stripped off your deepest value. I always think about, I love tennis, and I see all those people that are always out in the first round on every major tournament. They work all their life. I mean, they gave up everything since they were like 6 years old, and all they do is play tennis all day long, travel the world, train every day, put their bodies through pain and injuries, only to get to be 84 in the world. And nobody knows their name, and they're not famous, and they're not getting sponsorships. And one day at 28 or 29, they retire, right? But I'm sure that some of them are having the times of their lives if they're well equipped to the journey. It's like, look, I'm taking on tennis. Maybe, most probably, I will not make it to the top 10. I will never win a Grand Slam, but it's still worth it. And it's okay. And I'm fine. At 30, I'll be a coach. I'll open, with a little money I'll save, I'll open my own academy and teach tennis the way I believe it should be taught. And then I'll have a great life. If that's your attitude, good for you, go for it. But if you're not ready emotionally and you're going to kill yourself or be depressed most of the time that you never made it to the top 10, what a miserable journey, right? You're not equipped for it emotionally. So yeah, a lot of what we're talking about is building that inner muscle, right? Of being able to take on. I believe that everyone could be a hero. I see a world where all of us are doing highly meaningful things, where you go out and you ask people, what are you doing? And every answer would be, whoa, this is so phenomenal. And the reason I think most people don't take it on is just they don't have the emotional infrastructure to carry weight and potential failures.
Yeah, it's hard, because if you're doing something that you love, and you want to do a good job at it, it's important to you, then a failure at that is going to feel bad. Like there's not a way around it.
And it's fine. There's no way around it. And it's, by the way, if you're not feeling bad part of the time, why even start? What if I told you, okay, take on the podcast, and it's just going to be a breeze. You're going to take the content, edit it, take it out. Millions will watch it. Do it again. No friction whatsoever.
Yeah.
No friction.
I'd probably be like, where's the challenge?
What's the point?
In
What's
that?
the point?
Or I would think, if you told me there wasn't going to be any friction, I would think, oh, well, I probably didn't do anything that was really that spectacular
It'd
then.
be too easy, right?
Yeah. I'd be like, it probably wasn't that great of a product, really,
So
because it wasn't hard.
welcome the negative, welcome the challenge, welcome the friction, and understand that happiness is that cycle of feeling and doing and getting the inputs and changing yourself a little bit and taking on new things and learning new things because of your emotions and your value judgments. It's a dance. It's a dance that happens between you and the reality, and I think the emotional infrastructure is what you need in order to even if you're successful. People don't derive happiness out of success because they don't have the tools to suck out the happiness from something great that happened. They don't stop for a minute to say, like, how wonderful was that? You know? And a lot of the time I feel like what I've learned is to slow down. I was running, and then it's like another year, and it's like, where is the fun? You know, where is the reward? Is it the money in the bank that goes up? It's like, yes, another zero. No, it's the contemplation, it's the discussion. Sometimes I feel exhilarated where I share something that happened to me with a friend. That's where I feel the most proud, you know. It's just, sometimes I don't even realize how great it is till I share it with someone and it's like, wow, I really did that. And then they're getting excited and like, oh, wow. So I got a confirmation from the outside. That's really great. So I go to sleep with a smile on my face, you know, knowing that I've extracted more value of things I've already done, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really the emotional infrastructure that I think is a great balance, because I see that people that do it too much are just living in their own heads, and people that don't do it enough just live outside and never derive. It's really a dance and a balance between go out, do, and then come back home and chew on it and learn more. It's a dance between your subconscious, your conscious mind, and the external world, and your self-esteem. That is what happiness is all about.
Yeah. I feel like you're an adult version of Mr. Rogers right now.
Me?
Yes.
I'm not as nice, no. And I saw the documentary, and I wept. I mean, I wept.
That was so good.
It was so good. I mean, it's just how sensitive he is. Killed me. I mean, I don't know how you develop that level of sensitivity. It's so beautiful. I know it's not me. I mean,
yeah,
I cannot be as sensitive as he is, but it's just beautiful to see that level of attentiveness to a child's mind and feelings and how they learn. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And but you do some of the same stuff where it's you say, like Mr. Rogers says, it's okay to feel your feelings. Like, what do you do with the mad when you feel so mad you could bite? And and you're saying sort of the same thing, is that you feel a negative emotion, it's okay to feel it. And I guess that's the reason why I was thinking of Mr. Rogers.
No, I think the reason he was so successful is it was spot on many ideas and concepts he had about the nature of feelings and the nature of, you know, how a child experiences the world, and the anxiety of not knowing how things actually work, and appreciating how you know, even the slowing down. You see the way he talks is so captivating for me. I wish I had Mr. Rogers in Israel when I was growing up, because, you know, that's how I think you build an emotional foundation that is solid, of accepting feelings and understanding them and naming them and living with them.
Yeah. So tell me about, we titled this episode Black Holes, and I realize we haven't talked about what a black hole is yet. So I mean, I know what a black
Well, you
hole
tell
is
me
in
what
terms of physics.
yeah, you tell me what a black hole in physics is first.
Okay, so a black hole is an accumulation of matter that is so dense, it has such powerful gravity that not even light can escape it.
So
So
why aren't we all sucked into one huge black hole?
we're
When
not,
does it stop?
we're not, so black holes don't suck, first of all.
Oh,
Um,
they don't swallow matter into them and
well,
get bigger
yeah,
and
but
bigger?
you have to get close enough for them to do that. So like, for example, if the sun right now turned into a black hole, and what would happen to the earth? Like, no, nothing.
Nothing?
No, its sun would have the same, like it would have the same mass, would be in the same position, so we would continue to stay on our orbit
Oh,
as
because
we.
so I guess the black holes are called black holes because of the amount of mass that they have,
It's,
right?
yeah, it's black because light, not even light can escape. So
But it's proportional to their size. They have to be so big
it's
in their gravitational pull that, right?
yeah, if you go on Wikipedia, check out Schwarzschild radius. That's the key factor there. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So
So my only question before we move on to the
sure,
other
sure.
type of black hole, why don't they ever get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where nothing can stop them?
Well, they do get bigger if they collide with other things, or things coalesce onto them. Then they will get bigger. Like the black hole that's inside of or at the center of the Milky Way galaxies, it's enormous, and you can see stars that are too close that are spiraling into it, and so that's going to get bigger and bigger. There's a mechanism for dissipating a black hole that's called Hawking radiation, but it takes like billions, I don't know, really, really long time. So not probably even
Okay.
worth mentioning.
So we're not doomed to be sucked into a black hole.
Well, not anytime soon. You're probably okay.
Okay, so let's talk about the other black holes. You know how we talked about the value galaxy, and the way I see the value galaxy is like the value themes in my life are like big stars, yellow stars that what's circling around them are all the things I love. And the sun in the middle is the value theme. It's my love of abstract ideas, my love of entrepreneurship, my love of music, all the things that really define what I'm attracted to in a meaningful way, the common denominators. I think there's a upside down world,
Okay.
like in Stranger Things,
Mm-hmm.
where all the things that I hate or I want to stay
Oh,
away from.
that's where they
And
live.
it goes back to are they bad? Are they really bad? Or do I need to know that dark side? And I think thinking about it and building a black hole galaxy is super, super valuable for the same reason that we talked about before, which is there's so much information about what I dislike, people I don't like to be around, places I hate, experiences I remember that I don't want to relive, all kinds of triggers that I know exist in me, mapping them all out, and then trying to see the common denominators that are the black holes in my life, right? They suck the energy, they, throw me down under the desk. I need to know them, and I need to know their nature. And I need to understand what they're trying to protect me from, like we just did. That gives you a lot of information. And there's some sheer things that just don't do. Don't do. Hate eggplants, don't eat eggplants. So I found a lot of value in creating my black hole galaxy with all the things I hate, and then congregating them into those common denominator things I hate. Like I hate paperwork, I hate bureaucracy, I hate red tape, everything that has to do with filing taxes and filling up forms and wasting time, useless time, waiting on customer service that doesn't help you. All of that stuff I truly hate. So the good thing is that I try to outsource it out of my life. So I pay someone, it's like, you do my taxes, here's all my garbage, take all my transactions, and on the other end of it, I get a, tax filing. Or I just, I try to avoid customer service. In any way, I just installed my internet here. And I did everything I could just to avoid calling Comcast. I don't want to talk to Comcast. So I know, because those are triggers. Then I get someone on the other end of the line. And by the time I finish talking to them, I'm angry. I'm going to have a miserable day. So I'm not doing it anymore.
So you told me that like the thing you want to do with these, like, so you identify something you really don't like. And what you want to do is to kind of dive into that to figure out what is the positive there. Because it's always, there's some positive, like, I have the same example in my black hole galaxy, which is I hate filling out forms. I don't believe in hell, but if there was a hell, it would be a desk with forms on it to fill out. And one of
Would you believe that there are people that love it? I've met people that are like, no, the sheer enjoyment of filling out the forms in a structured manner, knowing that all the data in the right place, there are no mistakes in it. I check it 3 times and then I file it. It's such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, there are also people who like to watch golf on TV. I don't know.
Go figure, huh?
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, well, I mean, good. It's good that those people exist, because then they can get to do what they love if I bring them my taxes, for example. But I was thinking about, really, why is it that I dislike that task so much? Mm-hmm. And I came to the conclusion that it's the opposite of something that I really do love, which is, freedom and creativity. Like, I have a sketchbook that I take everywhere with me. I probably have it right here. I do. I'll show you my sketchbook. I take it everywhere I go. But if you open up to, pages that I haven't filled out, it's blank. And I have to have blank paper, because I don't even want lines on there telling me like what goes where, how I should organize a page. I don't want that. And I think it's for that reason, like, because I have a need for creativity and I have a need for freedom. And that's the reason why forms rub me so. And
this is the contrast, right? You learn so much from what you don't, and it sheds light on what you do want, right? That's why I'm saying, contemplate the things you hate, because they shed light on the things you love. And that's why it's so powerful to know your black holes, to know so if I'm imagining things. So if I imagine like a galaxy of values, so there's the stars and the big stars that are burning, and there's like planets of values circling around them. In the upside down world, there's like black holes and spiders crawling around them. The anti-values, the things I hate, mm-hmm. like forms and golf and and and
you also taught me that you can, like, it's amazing, the type, like, you can mine everything for what's hiding underneath, which is pretty cool. Like, I don't know if the happiest man alive ever cries at commercials. Is that something you do?
Yes.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
What commercials are you crying?
So there's this one that gets me, and every time it's like I think it's a Jeep commercial maybe, but they drive the Jeep up to the very top of this like precipice, and you see the Jeep on the rock, and it's just like there's no possible way it could get up there. How did it get up there? That gets me every single time. Like, I see the panning like helicopter shot of the Jeep up on the rock, and I get choked up.
Why?
I think because this took me a really long time to figure out, but I decided I'm going to get to the bottom of it, because you told me that there's something positive hiding there. I think it, for me, represents just like visually this like feeling of independence, of being like maybe the very best at something, or being like so great that you can be up there on the rock at the very top all by yourself. And I think that's why it gets me choked up. I don't know.
Do you think you're reflecting about your own life when you see it? And so the
Yeah.
choking up comes from wanting it, but knowing that you don't have it in a way, a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Which is not, I don't know. That strikes me as not good.
Why? It's a source of motivation.
Mm.
Look, we're never going to be perfect. What will be a perfect state? People is like, oh, I'm going to do this and then things will be okay. No. You'll be there and then you'll see things like things are not okay because I don't have this and this and that. And then you're going to be here. And then it's a journey. And figuring out what you want, I think, is the hardest thing about the journey, where to go. Once you know where you want to go and what kind of life, what kind of values you want to pursue, then you have to go out and get it and live the story of getting it, enjoying the story of getting it. And you never really get, when you say I have a need for creativity, when do you get creativity? So you released one episode, and then you release another episode, and then you finish the whole season, and then there's season 2, and then there's season 3, and then there's like, oh, but I have this idea of doing something much bigger. When do you get it? Right? It's the thing, it's the doing, it's the living, it's the contemplation of like, where am I in my journey, seeing the gain rather than the gap, right? That we talked about a little bit about. Yeah. Always seeing where you are versus where you were, rather than, oh, I'm so frustrated because I'm not there yet. And that's, feeling frustrated sometimes that you're not making enough progress. There's a good in it. It's like, maybe you're not making enough progress because you're not focused enough. You're wasting time on other things that do not matter. So it's something in you that says, hey, let's get a move on, right? Let's do something faster. So listen to that. And in a way, just filtering between the derogatory self-talk that gets you nowhere, just stuck, versus taking out the insights from it. It's fine. It's picking into those, untangling those thoughts into what's good in it and what's wrong in it. Sometimes the thought is just right out wrong. It's a distorted evaluation that comes from a scar from when I was 12, and I'm still carrying it for no reason. It's just a protective tissue that is trying to protect me from something that will never materialize. Get rid of it. Start by talking to yourself. It's like, it's not going to happen. Stop sending me those messages. And by the way, whoever's those thoughts that send you those messages, those feelings, if you reject them over and over and over again, they will stop. Because nobody wants to, even your subconscious doesn't want to work for nothing. So you don't reward those irrational value judgments by accepting anything from them if they're completely irrational. So that's another thing. If you feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, and let me not even try, I would say break it down, be more nuanced, right? And take that part that is completely wrong about, like, Amanda is not smart, Amanda is not good enough, Amanda doesn't understand anything about podcasts, Amanda will never be successful, blah, 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 blah. Take the wrong parts, the irrational parts, and fight them off. It's like, it's not true. It's not true. Look at where I am. It's like if we were on trial, you would lose, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's hard to get a good jury in my head. Know what I mean?
Yeah,
because this is why it's you, and you're wrapped up in how it, like, you've got this emotional grip on yourself as well. So it's harder to be objective. But
one of the things that I really believe in is friends and allies and accountability teams, like the happiness team. Sometimes you're so lost in your head, you're really stuck in a spiral, right? And you need someone from the outside to, in a way, give you an objective view of, like, no, you're lost in your head and you're telling yourself stories. Stop, And I love when I meet a friend and I come with a problem, and they're like, "No, you don't have that problem. Why are you making up problems?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "No, let's look at reality. You're making up a problem, right? Reality says you don't have a problem, and you are making it into a problem." And sometimes like, whoa, I needed someone to tell me that I'm completely imagining things here, to be able to even start a process of like, okay, let's think about it in a different way. Maybe I don't have a problem. So why am I making up that problem? Maybe I'm trying to protect myself from something different, from something else. So yeah, I really believe that if you feel like you don't know how to do it on your own, find a partner, an objective one, that will reflect back to you what's really going on. Like, the truth is, you're super creative. You understand in audio in ways that nobody understands, that I know. Every time you release an episode, it's just, people are asking me all day long, like, when's the next episode happening? Right? They're waiting for it. And you think you're not good,
Yeah,
doesn't add up.
All right, well, speaking of adding up, we're just about out of time. I want to acknowledge the super chats. We have Mary Aline in here. Gene Walters just said he printed the Happiness Team workbook, so that's awesome. Mary Aline, again, she said that my podcast is good and she enjoys it, so that's awesome. Yeah.
By the way, we're doing yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Shaw's Bot asks if we're familiar with the struggle between Ahoy and sadness in the Pixar film Inside Out, and I'm not.
Oh, I just saw Inside Out with my daughter, and I loved it. I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah,
it was great.
Bradley says Rourke did it for himself because he loved the work. Most people hated his work, isn't focusing on what others say secondhand. Yeah, I mean, I think if you focus on it entirely and that's how you build your self-esteem, it is. But I mean, I'm making a podcast. I want people to listen to it and enjoy it. So
yeah, and there's a whole different aspect of deciding if your value judgments are rational or irrational. That takes time. I mean, gathering the evidence, and like, I want to be a singer, and I really want to be a singer, and I proved to myself I really want to be a singer. I've been singing since I remember, but I don't have a voice, right? So really dealing with rationality versus irrationality, objectivity or lack thereof is a big thing. And I see a lot of people making up stories in their head, just again, not imagining their inner world, but imagining the outer world. It's like as if they think that if they decide that they want to do it, it's going to happen. And some of it's like, no, it's the marriage of those two that creates achievements of values. So don't ignore your inner world, but also don't ignore the outer world. And I think people misunderstand this firsthand, second-handed, sometimes, and rational versus irrational, in a way. Yes. So I just wanted to mention that we decided to do a 2-day intensive of the Happiness Team, both in London, and I think we're going to do one in Israel in March. So Razi will advertise that, and if we're going to have another one in Israel, I'll let everybody know. And maybe we'll do one in Atlanta. I don't know. That's another idea that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, go to myhappiness.team/apply and you can get your application in. All right. Well, see you.
50 minutes passed. I can't believe it, but
just
okay.
like that, and it's gone.
You see?
Like it got sucked into a black hole.
Seize the hour.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Amanda.
Bye.
Bye-bye.